quotient means divide. Quotient of like bases. That means, look, the two bases are the same. I'm dividing. The exponents might be different, but the two bases are the same. To divide powers to the same base, subtract the exponents and keep the common base. Why would we subtract? Let's look. What does this mean? This means x times x times x times x times x times x. On the bottom, this means x times x times x. Now what happens if I have a fraction like this? Right here, this says x divided by x. That's just the number 1. This says x divided by x. That's just the number 1. This says x divided by x. That's just the number 1. We cancel those. We don't need to write those. So what am I left with? I'm left with x to the third. What happened? I subtracted here. I had 6 x's up on top, and I subtracted 3 because they canceled out on the bottom. Okay? The same would happen here. Let's not write it out, but I want you to picture it. There's 8 k's across the top and 5 k's across the bottom. How many would I cross out? Well, I'd cross out 5. And then I'd run out of k's on the bottom to cross off, but I would still have 3 k's left on the top. Okay? Here, look. I could do this without writing it out. I'm going to do it without writing it out, but then I'm going to write it out so you can see it. I'm going to deal with the x's and the y's separate. Okay, so here are the x's. There's 5 x's on top and 3 on the bottom. I'm going to cross out 3 and be left with 2. On the top, there's 3 y's, and on the bottom, there's 1 y. So I'm able to cross off 1 y, and I'm left with 2 y's. Okay, so there's the answer without writing it out. And here, if you ever are like, wait, and you kind of have a brain fart and you get confused, you can always just write it out. And you can see I have 2 x's and 2 y's left. Okay, now here's something interesting happens. There's actually less x's on the top and more x's on the bottom. So what happens here? Well, you could write it in 2 different ways. This is, see how the x's are left on the bottom? You can't just write the bottom of a fraction. You're not allowed to just write like this, right? There's 2 x's on the bottom. So what you do is you just put a 1 placeholder on top, okay? You can write it like this, or the rule always works, okay? And this is where we start to think about what negative exponents mean. We can subtract. Here we did 8 minus 5, we got 3. Here we did 5 minus 3, we got 2, and 3 minus 1, we got 2. Okay, here 2 minus 4 is negative 2. Okay, and you're going to see that these are actually the same thing. Okay, let's look here. I'm not writing anything out. Look, we just deal with this separate. I'm going to draw my fraction bar, right? Here I have 9 a's on top, 7 a's on the bottom. I'm going to end up with 2 left over on the top, right? Okay, I can also think of it as subtracting. 9 minus 7 is 2. Here I have 3 b's on the top, 3 b's on the bottom. What happens? They all cancel. They're gone. Okay, what happens here? I have 6 a's on the top, 5 on the bottom. Okay, I'm going to cross off 5. There's going to be 1 left on the top. Okay, now look, I can do it with subtraction too. 9 minus 7 is 2. 3 minus 3 is 0, gone. 6 minus 5 is 1. And look, there's nothing on the bottom of my fraction, and I keep it just like that.